Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to Just Lunch. I've got some great guys joining me at the table today, Mr. Neutral and Jam. How are you fellas doing? It's evening for y'all. How are y'all doing tonight?
Yeah, it's a great night finally in the UK. The sun is shining. We got a new pope. Everybody's
Yes,
excited.
an
And
American.
an American, Pope Leo the 14th. And congratulations to America. And it's an absolute honour and a privilege to be on your show tonight, Christine.
Oh,
Oh,
pleasure.
for lunchtime for you guys. We're going to share some lunch.
I
Yes.
second that, Coach Christine. Absolute pleasure to be on your channel. Big admirer, big fan, always have been. So God bless. Thank you for having us.
Thank y'all. I'm definitely fans of y'all, and it's so my pleasure. Thank you for joining me. You know, everybody's talking about the fatal fury and the Tio Fimo debacle and things like that, and I just kind of wanted to talk about some other things that are in presently in boxing, and I want to know y'all's thoughts about it, the future of boxing. And that's the impact of crossover boxing and influencers, and the fights going forward. We've had Mike Tyson, Jake Paul, we've had Tommy Fury, KS1, and now we're going to be having Chavez Jr. and Jake Paul. Um, is this a trend? I'll start with you, Mr. Neutral. Is this a trend or is this here to stay?
It's a bit of both, to be honest, Christine. And the bigger the trend, the longer it happens. And this trend has been happening since 2019. I'm going to shock you a bit here, Christy.
Okay.
It's the way MVP and the way that Misfits Boxing is set up. It's not for this generation. This is the building blocks of what's going to be the next generation of fans. Because if you look at the way they're progressing the shows, and especially Misfits 21 coming up, from its original concept back in 2019 under Mams Taylor and KSI.
Mm-hmm.
It's just gone from strength to strength to strength. They're now on their main, the biggest main broadcaster in sports in the world for an app, and that's DAZN. They've got a home, they've got a fan base, they've got the PPV structure right. They're using the UFC type, MMA type model of throwing loads of these Misfits onto one big card. I'll give you an example. Misfits 21 coming up soon with Darren Till and Darren Stewart, who are headlining that. And if you see the undercard on it, the way the production has gone, they're putting money into it.
Mm-hmm.
And they've got all the guys dressed up in the Peaky Blinders type, scenario, all in the old suits from the old 1920s Birmingham in England. So you can see the money that they're putting into this, and it's been a great success, and it is here to stay, and it's only going to grow. But I welcome boxing, whether it's professional, amateur, Olympic boxing. You can go on and on and on. We all love boxing, but I don't judge Misfits by its concept. I judge it where it is now. And like you quite rightly said, Jake Paul is seen that concept. He's improved it and gone to America, MVP, and he's taken it one step further. He's now in the pro game. As much as Misfits title their fights as pro fights, for their own lightweight titles, their own heavyweight titles, etc. That's separate from the 4 traditional sanction or 5 traditional sanction bodies we now know them. So they've made their own niche, and boxing is a niche market. They create their own niche. And MVP, he is Jay Paul. Excuse me for going on so long, but
No, you're great.
He has taken it one step further for me, and listen, I was never a big fan of Jake Paul at the beginning, going into the box. It's like, what is going on here? What is this Hollywood? But
Yeah.
he's been in it 6 years now, 5 years now. He's going from strength to strength. You can see what he's putting into it, and you got to admire the lad for it. I mean, he's 28 years of age. He started boxing at 23. Look where he is now. If you I say to people, you're going to hate on it. That's up to you. But for me, he is looking at the next generation. Misfits is looking at the next generation. You've got MMA fighters, UFC fighters coming over to boxing. Francis Ngannou, Jake, with Tyson Fury and Anthony Joshua. Nobody, was moaning about that. But as soon as you mention Misfits, or as soon as you mention Jake Paul or MVP, people start having a meltdown. No, they won't integrate. It'll still be the niche market, but it's going to grow. But it's going to get a separate audience from the hardcore casual boxing fans, traditional boxing as we know it. They're not gonna stray. They'll watch it, but they'll not stray from mainstream boxing as we know it. But that's just my opinion. But I'm all for it. Any kind of boxing, if it's on telly, if it's on the apps that we subscribe to, what better can you ask for on Netflix and MVP? And it's just part of your subscription. You get to watch some of the best fights in the world. Amanda Serrano, Katie Taylor twice.
Yeah. Yeah.
You're now going to get Alicia Baumgardner and Dina Tosden. You've got Shea Metcalf. Come on.
That's true.
Who else?
That's true.
I've got to give it to Jake Paul. He's done a fantastic job behind the scenes in the promotion. Some people will remember him for being a promoter. Some people remember him for being a celebrity boxer. He's not a celebrity boxer. If he beats Chavez, you got to start taking him seriously, Christy. You really have. Because Chavez is the professional boxer that everybody's been calling for. Maybe not the level, but it's still going to be somewhat for a title. Sure.
Really tuned in. Jam, do you agree with everything that Mr. Neutral's saying? I mean, do you think that it's helping grow the audience, or is it undermining the legitimacy that some people say of boxing? Or are you on the same page? What are your thoughts?
I'm definitely not on the same page. I love the speech, though, Mr. Neutral. A lot of passion there from my fellow Scotsman there, my boy from Red Corner Boxing. But I agree with a lot of what he said. Jake Paul, what he's done for the female game has been absolutely exceptional. The way he's got these fights on for most valuable promotions, giving Shade a chance to unify with Dina Force and things like that. That side of the crossover effect is fantastic. But when you got the likes of Dean the Great walking up, trying to check Shakur Stevenson, that's where I get fed up with it.
Yeah.
That's when I start to think, what the hell is this, man? Come on, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You're an influencer boxer. You've not fought anyone of that substance. What gives you the right to walk up to a world champion and start calling him out? Like, are we fucking daft or something? Excuse my language.
No, you're fine.
It's just like, that's where it gets on my nerves. I'm all for it. Anything that puts eyes on boxing, I'm down with. I'll cover it even. I'll even watch a bloody KSI fight where he's doing star jumps and jumping around like an idiot. I'll cover it because people want to see it, believe it or not. For me, though, I'm not the same as Mr. New. I don't think it's great for the sport. I think it's great money for the sport at the moment, but it will die out just like the dinosaurs, mate, because people will get fed up with the lack of quality that is involved in these fights.
Yeah, I first. Oh, thanks to my girl Knockouts with Nika. She's with us every Wednesday. On President Wednesdays, everybody knows and loves Nika. Thank you so much, my girl. I appreciate that. Because there is the argument, and you two are kind of touching on it, the popularity versus the purity. I mean, we've seen that Jake Paul talked about if Tank would have won and it had not been a draw, that would have been the next fight up. And then that's where it kind of gets sticky for me, because yes, it's a new audience, yes, younger fans. But does it take away from the purity of boxing? Jams, do you think that it does take away? I mean, you kind of touched on it a little bit.
100%, Coach Christine, 100%. Because you'll have the new wave of fans that only know the likes of KSI, that only know the Jake Pauls, that only know Dean the Greats. What's her name? Ellie, the champion. I can't remember her bloody name, but
Scotty.
No, not Ellie Scotty. No, she's good. I mean, the Misfits champion, Elle Brooke.
Yeah. Sorry.
Yeah, and people like that, and they're going to think of them as real boxing champions, and they're going to get the sport diluted into like make believe is now real, and they're going to think they're boxing champions. They're going to be walking around genuinely thinking KSI or Jake Paul are boxing like legends. They're real fighters. They're going to tarnish the legacy of fighters that have literally gave us the greatest moments in the sport. And these Mickey Mouse Club geezers are coming out doing it for fun, and it's not real. It's fake. It's fake boxing. Simple as that. It's watered down, diluted fake boxing. It's two guys from the pub. I've been to my local Weatherspoons and seen better fights. It is literally watered down boxing. Yes, it can be fun to watch. Yes, it's good. They're getting eyes on seats. Yes, it's good. It's bringing money into the game. But for God's sake, let's be serious. They are not real boxers. I'd knock out most of them clowns, and I don't even box anymore. I'm 41 years old, and I'd starch them at the back of the Weatherspoons.
Mr. Neutral, I mean, Jams has a lot of good points. And the thing is so are we sending out a message, in your opinion, like Jam said, that anybody can do it?
Well, I have to forgive my passionate Leicestershire hardcore boxing analyst, Jams. He's passionate about, you can't come near the game if you're not playing the game. And these boys don't play the game, they play their own game. It's a different sport, right? As much as UFC is a different sport to boxing and MMA. And Misfits Boxing is no different. It has no parallel likeness and compareness. It's two different setups. They have their own champions. And yes, Jams, unfortunately, they do go around calling themselves a Misfits World Champion. That's what they are. They identify, and I go back to my point about this is not our market for our age group. This market is for the next generation and the generations to come, because the tastes have evolved from boxing over the years. We're slowly losing the hardcore as each year goes by.
Bro, sorry to interrupt you, Neutral. The comparison I'd make, it'd be like putting a boxer in the UFC cage with a real UFC fighter and expecting him to win. That's what you'd get if you put Dean McGregor and Shakur. You put the likes in, the misfit boxers in with the real fighters. It'd be like chucking Tommy Fury in a UFC cage and say, go and fight Pereira. You're going to get your ass licked up, bro.
Yeah, you are. But what I'm trying to ascertain to the audience is the fact that it is a separate sport, but yes, the crossover, the title of the show is that crossover. Look at Darren Till, the way he's moved from MMA to Misfits professional boxing. Go to Darren Till, you're not a professional boxer. He'll go, yes, I am.
Oh, he's a tough one, mate.
Darren, you can argue with Darren. No, we're not going to argue with Darren. He is a professional boxer, and it's what you identify the sport as. And I use the word sport, very, very hard here, because it is a different sport. And we got to identify it as a different sport. However, should it lead from one champion's being so good, and and I liken it to white collar boxing. This is white collar boxing on another level. So if you can get Fabio Wardley, who's a heavyweight, who's come out of white collar boxing, crossed over to professional boxing, are we going to hold him in any lesser light? It's what the ability is, what you're showing on that platform. And if someone like Dean the Great continue, I don't know if he lost, Jams, I don't know.
No, I think he's undefeated, mate. And
if he continues,
Golden Glove champion, apparently.
He's an amateur who's went to Misfits rather than a professional platform. And he can call out other boxers because he's fought at amateur level for the US.
Yeah, but not at world level, though. Not go to a world champion and call
it's not the point.
I think that's
it's not the point. It's not like he's come off the street at the age of 25 and never boxed around in his life. Then you can
but go and fight a lower level fighter first, prove yourself, then go and challenge.
Well, what's he doing now? What is Misfits if not a lower level boxing?
And then he keeps winning. Was, man. He laughed in his face. He was like, "Who the fuck are you, bro?" You know what I mean? Like,
that's something. Listen, mate.
And I don't. What have you sold out? What have you sold out? And
I don't get protective over boxers, mate. I don't get protective over them.
Being the greatest sold shit out in the UK. All right.
And I mean, if he's got a platform to have a voice and call out boxers, don't blame him.
No, but he didn't do it online. He actually went to
blame the platform. Or if he's done it to his face, even more kudos. Oh my God!
I think even cheekier.
But
backhand.
You know what my two concerns are, and we'll start with. I want to know y'all's thoughts on my two major concerns. So, first of all, running a gym and working with boxers, my main concern, obviously, we want to win, right? But
Yeah,
my first and foremost concern is safety. So that safety's one. And then the second is the pay, the influencer versus the world champ, how do the purses work. So I want to touch on the safety first, because I think that I'm going to give Jake Paul his props. We see him, he is in the gym, he works out, okay? He knows what it takes to get in the ring with, a Mike Tyson, a Chavez Jr. He knows that he has to really work out, right? But there's so many influencers that I believe, and maybe I'm wrong, that are going to go in, into like a gym for like 4 weeks, 6 weeks, whatever, and not really live the life and feel like because they were in the gym for such a short time that they can get in here and they can beat these champions. What are y'all's thoughts on that? Anyone
I'll
can
go
go first.
first. Sorry, Neutral. I completely agree with you, Coach Christine. That's my worry. Is someone's going to get hurt and it's going to tarnish boxing even further than it already is. One of these guys are going to walk straight out of a 4-week training camp, as you said, out of shape, never boxed before, thinking they can take on a real boxer. They're going to step in the ring. The boxer's going to do what the boxer does and knock him spark out. And then it's going to be, right, this is too dangerous now. We need to start getting, headgear and all this bullshit
Mhm.
again. And it's just going to send us back 20 years. It's just not worth it. It is not worth it. It's not worth the risk. I don't care about the money in essence, you know what I mean? It's just going to ruin the game because people are going to start taking these people seriously. And it's just going to be dangerous for the real fighters. They're going to be offered a massive amount of money. But then when you knock the guy out, people are going to say, well, you just knocked out some bum off the street. And they're going to get, it's just
Yeah.
more problems than it's worth. Like they say, more money, more problems. And that's what I believe it to be.
Yeah. What about you, Mr. Neutral? What do you think about that?
um, for a fight of something of that nature to happen, then you've got to have steps, and we go to the safety steps. And first and foremost, in the UK, every fight has to have the necessary medical, and the US as well, and the necessary medical facilities ringside, and doctors and all the rest of it. If you look at all the way the productions are done, this is all being delivered. Now, let's talk about the logistics of what you're talking about,
Mm-hmm.
right? For a world champion pro boxer sanctioned by sanctioning bodies, who is going to come and try and put together this kind of fight, right? It would take two to tango. That would mean the world champion and his team and his promoters and the misfits, whoever it is. Let's say if Jake Paul, not Jake Paul, because he's got a professional license, and that's another thing. You've got to have a professional license. You've got to be insured. You've got to be matchmaked in the first place. So many of these steps have to be satisfied.
Can
And
I
not
just say
even.
something real quick, and then please continue? I don't mean to interrupt you, but I just want to say I don't know how it is in the UK, but in the US, if my neighbor who's never boxed before in their life wanted to go get a professional license, they could do that right now.
Right. So they could go pay for one.
Yes.
It's a similar fact here, but you've got to be part of a club, and your club's got to be what's the word for it? Authorised or something like that.
Yeah,
I can't remember.
Your boxing club's got to be all for like an ABC club.
Yeah, so the club has to pay for it.
Pay a fee and do a fitness test.
Oh,
and you have
to better stuff than we do. Yeah.
So the club has to pay a fee for the club, a fee per fighter to the ABC and the British Boxing Board of Control. So they would not matchmake and risk their accreditation with the British Boxing Board of Control by mismatchmaking, right? So let's get back to the actual misfits promoters here, and that's Soyland and Wasserman. Okay? I would hazard a guess that neither one of them two would ever dream of putting a misfits champion up against a professional boxer, unless those initial steps have been taken and that boxer is deemed worthy of such a fight that would have to be voluntary, that would have to be under a special bout rule by the sanctioning bodies for the greater good of boxing. This is what we have to take into these procedural steps. None of this can happen without the red tape.
You know
all
who
the
would do
way
it, though?
through.
Sauerland brothers, Eddie Hearn and Mams Taylor, they'd do it in a heartbeat, mate.
They
They'd
would do
find some red
it,
tape
but
way
they
around
would.
it.
It would not. It would only happen in such special, very special circumstances. Other than that, and I think that you're right. It could happen, but I think we're years away from it yet.
Yeah, couple.
Do you think the special circumstances have to do with how large the amount of money that everybody's going to be winning? I mean, making the promoters is what I'm saying.
Yeah. Here's another thing. For that to happen, especially against a champion, there's going to have to be a sanctioning fee for that champion. That champion is going to have that sanctioning fee covered by the contender, the misfit contender. If not, the fight's not going to happen. Then why should a champion pay out of his own pocket? If it was the WBC, and I hate to slander them, Christine, they would probably sanction it and have a lovely new belt made, diamond encrusted, zirconia, whatever it's called, pubic zirconia, beautiful belt, and they'll do it that way, but it would never ever be for a title shot. It would be a special prize reel.
Yeah. I could see that because it is, we saw that Jake Paul was after AJ for a long time. And if AJ would have agreed, it would have happened. And then, Tank, and he were talking, and Tank was looking past Roach and he was looking right to Jake because money. So it is happening and people are allowing it to happen. But yes, we have yet to see a world title on the line. We have yet to see that. I don't know if that's far-fetched or I don't know. Like in these days, in this time, who knows? Who knows if it's going to happen next or not. I find it so interesting the way the commission and everything works over there in the UK because all of the rules and the precautions that y'all have are amazing. And I would love for us to have them here too. But we're not that tight. We're not that tight here. So I guess you both are kind of split as far as the trend or if this is around to stay and we're moving in that direction. Is that what I'm getting from both of y'all?
Yeah, I think it is. Jabs, he hates it. I get it. The hardcore in me hates it. But I've got to open my mind to the fact that it is here to stay. And it's going to evolve. And this is another thing. In the next 5 years, this machine, as I call it, is only going to grow exponentially.
Mm-hmm. I don't hate it, by the way, Mr. Neutral. I just want them to stay in their lane. They have a lane, and they've got to stay.
They will, mate. They will. And this is the thing. You know I mean? They've already labelled their champions
as
MS.
On it, and you're getting all these young ones watching it on YouTube and all.
Look at the belts.
Paul, the old Disney Channel kids. I love all that. I love it. It's a drama. It's like watching the WWE.
It's exactly that. It's WWE meets boxing. And here's the proof in the pudding, right? Darren Till is headlining the Misfits 21, right?
A UFC fighter, not a boxer.
Right? Guess what they're introducing for the first time WWE style?
Title that someone's
tag team survival boxing.
Oh my!
I heard Eddie Hall wants to fight Jake and Logan Paul in a 1-on-2 combat sport match in the MMA. So I'd love to see that. Eddie Hall knock them both out.
Genius idea. Mixing WWE tag team style. Bring on the Hardy Brothers and the Swanton Bomb. They're not in this boxing, right? And they're going to go. It continues to a knockout. Fantastic stuff.
That's why
I was back in the day. Big up there, the Ultimate Warrior and the British Bulldog. Back in the day, Davey Boy Smith. Now, but that's what you're going to witness, Christine, Coach Christine, in July. I think it's June or July, one of the two. And you're going to see that concept take off. Trust me. And this is what I mean. They have created their own lane. They create their own niche sport, and that's you've got to identify it as that. It doesn't touch boxing.
Trill said, "I agree with Mr. Neutral, but he never thought he'd hear me say that. But they need to be able to cross over to prove that there are truly levels. Yeah. I do believe stuff like that's gonna happen. I mean, who would ever thought that we would have like slapping contests? Like, come on, like
exactly.
That's Dana White's thing. I mean, actually, one of my nephews is doing it. And who would have thought? Power to them all. There's different audiences for different things. We all love combat sports at some different aspects and different facet, whatever. I think my thing is the safety. I don't want some guy, that got in a bar fight or would beat somebody up in the playground and thinks that, okay, you know what, now I can beat some of these top boxers. Let me go to the gym for a few weeks and call some people out. So for me, it's kind of the safety. And then I kind of feel just because we have some of these boxers that have been living the life and working their whole lives towards these goals, and then they get in there with somebody like a Jake Paul or something, and I'm sure the purses probably won't match, or maybe they do. I don't know. It's like then they're going to be like, okay, I'm getting paid more here, fighting these influencers. So why would I even go back to facing another boxing champ when I'm going to make the money over here? And I think that I don't want it to hurt our sport in that way, if that makes sense.
It's very similar to what Turki Al Sheikh's doing to the sport. He's putting that much money in that he's making these CD level fighters believe that they're worth $2 million a fight.
Yeah.
So then when it comes to when Turkey's not about and you need to put on the normal C-level fights that you normally get paid 100K if you look at, they're like, nah, man, I got $2 million for my last fight. I don't want to fuck with them guys. And they don't want to fight, and their career goes by and they don't get a fight, and you're wasting these talented boxers who could have became a world champion or something great.
True.
But they won't box because they're not getting the same bag. And that's the problem with what Jake Paul's throwing into the mix. If he does decide to leave after he gets knocked out or starched by someone professional, which he probably will, if he gets Canelo like he keeps calling for, he definitely will. And then we're going to see the same thing. He'll start pulling all his money out and he'll go off and do his next thing. Probably be a Netflix producer making TV programs about Disney Channel kids.
It just seems that way, that Jake and Turki, I just don't want them to get bored, pick up their ball and go somewhere else. Because yes, like you said, then we're going to be left, holding the bag. And is it sustainable, especially with Turki, is it sustainable to keep, it's not, to keep paying these guys, people, endless wealth. And there is no such thing as endless wealth. No. There's not,
the Saudi Pro Fund won't allow it, Christine. They will not allow it. They will not keep letting him lose hundreds of millions per show. They're going to eventually say, right, that's enough. You've made your point. We've got the World Cup in 2030. After that, they're pulling out, mate.
Yeah.
All I'll say is
soccer, as you guys call it, the Soccer World Cup. Once that's finished, Turkey and Saudi Arabia will have no interest in boxing whatsoever. He barely watches them. He sits there on his phone the whole time chatting to his mates. He doesn't even look at the boxing most of the time.
I know.
He just likes to hold hands with grown men and prance about in his little robes and that.
All I'll say is there's been presidents, kings, queens, revolutions, wars, and boxing's always been there. Jake Paul, MVP,
that's the aim.
misfits boxing, slapping boxing, pillow fighting in the ring. They're all fads. They're all trends. But the bigger the trend, it's just a following. But boxing is always boxing. It's always been there, and it always will survive.
So before we wrap up our lunchtime, and I just appreciate y'all so much. Like, this has been so fun, and we definitely have to do it again. Any last words? And we'll go with you first, Jams. Any last words?
The only thing I'd say is, just if you're going to be watching the influence of boxing, by all means enjoy it. It's not my place to tell you what to enjoy. Just remember, it's not real. If you want to watch real boxing, go to Christine's gym and watch real fighters work out, like Chicken Metcalf. Go and watch people like Amari Jones. Go and watch real boxers, Shakur Stevenson's, even Tank Davis, who I'm not a big fan of. Go and watch him. These are real boxers. Don't put all your eggs in one basket, and certainly don't go with Jake Pauls and Dean the Greats and these type of guys. They're not real. They're just a fad, and it will pass.
I appreciate that, Mr. Neutral.
Okay, yeah, very passionate speech from my compadre. It's, as I said before, It's a separate sport. It's an e-sport. People will watch different things. I don't personally believe it will have any effect on boxing, but because there is platforms like X and Facebook and Instagram, these guys are all on the same page. They can all talk to each other, and we can't stop that. If a fighter from another sport wants to talk trash about another fighter from another sport, identify it as just that. He's sounding off. He wants to be in it, but he's not in it. He's in his own lane. It's never going to happen. It's just talk.
Okay, I like that. Both of y'all. I mean, y'all bring so many great points and keep my mind thinking. And this is something that I love discussing boxing always. Oh, Hakan, hello, good morning, good evening, good afternoon, all of the above. I will say this in closing is that I do give props to Jake Paul for wanting to call these greats out because he is in the gym. I give him props for that because he has built a platform and gotten people's attention, and now he is using that platform for good, and that is elevating, skyrocketing women in the sport of boxing. So definitely, he did what he wanted to do. He's doing what he wants to do, and I do appreciate him for that. I really do. So props to him for that. Um, I think my guys, y'all are so awesome and amazing. I love talking boxing to boxing people. Like it's just my favorite thing. I can do it all day long. You know what I mean? It's like I'm sick of the brain. But and to our chat, thank y'all so much for spending lunch and dinner and morning with us. And we'll see y'all next Thursday. Thank you so much. We love to love you, and everybody have a great day.